Thanks for joining me on episode 420 of the Inspired Stewardship Podcast.
I'm Wayne Titus, author of The Entrepreneur's Guide to Financial Well-Being. I encourage you to be inspired to become a better steward through financial wisdom by listening to this, the Inspired Stewardship Podcast with my friend Scott Mader.
And by recognizing that, I begin to recognize that I need to be thankful for those gifts. I need to have gratitude. I need to look at other people and be recognizing the things that they do that actually help and lift me up as well. I need to recognize that I'm not in this alone, that I'm not the only person that matters. Welcome and thank you for joining us on the Inspired Stewardship Podcast. If you truly desire to become the person who God wants you to be, then you must learn to use your time, your talent, and your treasures for your true calling. In the Inspired Stewardship Podcast, you will learn to invest in yourself, invest in others, and develop your influence so that you can impact the world. In today's episode about investing in yourself through stewarding your treasures, I talk with you about humility. I share why being humble is a wealth-building principle and some tips on how to maintain humility even in success. As we talk about stewarding your treasures, wouldn't it be great if you could support this podcast and do it without costing yourself an extra dime? Turns out you can. All you have to do is use inspiredstewardship.com/Amazon when you're ready to make a purchase via Amazon, and a small commission will come back to support the show. If you enjoy the show when you're ready to buy from Amazon, just use inspiredstewardship.com/Amazon. Let's talk a little bit about the term humility. Now, if you look it up in the dictionary, it says humility is a noun meaning a modest or low view of one's own importance. But that's kind of an interesting take on it, because a low view of one's own importance to me is not humility. It's actually putting a low view on yourself is in some ways a little bit of a false humility. Now, this is the idea that if someone says, hey, you're really good at that, you go, oh, no, it's really nothing. When in reality, what you're almost doing is fishing for another compliment. You're fishing for them to say, no, really, you're excellent at this, and kind of reaffirm your belief. That's not really humility. It's about being not prideful, that's for sure. It's about not bragging on yourself. But it isn't necessarily about having a low view of yourself. It's not that you look at yourself as lesser in some way. It's that you don't look at yourself as having achieved what you have achieved all by yourself. I used to get really angry when people would say sometimes, boy, you were really lucky to fill in the blank. You're lucky you're out of debt. It was a lot of hard work to get out of debt. And I would get offended when they would say, you're lucky, because it wasn't luck, it was work. But the truth is, there is a degree to which it was lucky. I mean, I am lucky that I am a white male. I'm lucky that I was born in America. I'm lucky that I was born in a family with two parents in a relatively middle-class, stable, growing up environment. Oh, it wasn't perfect. There were problems, but really and truly, my home life was fairly good. I'm lucky that I was able to go to college and get a good education and apply that education. There is some degree to which I had opportunity, I had luck, I had chances that not everyone else has. There are things that I get to do or say because of where I live, because of how I look, because of who I am, because of the color of my skin. Honestly, even the fact that I have some gray hair gets me a certain amount of recognition or understanding, or people sometimes will listen to something that you say because they look at you and they go, well, you've been there, you've walked the walk. Some of the hard things that I've gone through give me a certain amount of authority in talking into certain situations. All of those things are true. And recognizing that is part of what allows me to have some humility, because I recognize the fact that the truth is I didn't get where I am by myself. I didn't get where I am without some good luck, without some opportunities, without some privileges that not everyone has. And by recognizing that, I begin to recognize that I need to be thankful for those gifts. I need to have gratitude. I need to look at other people and be recognizing the things that they do that actually help and lift me up as well. I need to recognize that I'm not in this alone, that I'm not the only person that matters, that the people around me who I care about, and even those people who are around me who perhaps I don't always get along with, their views and their attitudes and their opinions are also important. And I need to recognize that. And being able to look around and see that is a wealth building principle, because the truth is, as you begin to recognize that you didn't get where you are all by yourself, and you have a sense of humility around that, true humility, not false humility. So it's not looking at yourself as lesser. It's not recognizing the strengths and the giftings that you do have. You should be aware of those things. You should use them. You should recognize them. Those are gifts that God has given you and wants you to use to serve others and to better the world. So not recognizing those, that's not humility. That's actually false humility. And really and truly, it comes out of a sense of pride, which is strange but true. Instead, having this sort of humility where you recognize that you didn't get where you are alone, and that you have had opportunities, you have had privileges, no matter how hard your life is, no matter how bad it is, there are still things that have happened in your life that have made you who you are and have given you some sense of opportunity. And as you recognize that, you begin to have a sense of contentment. So it's not about not wanting more. It's about recognizing that I'm okay where I'm at too. I can still grow myself. I can still learn to impact the world. I can still learn to better live out my gifting. I can make more time or more money or more opportunities for myself and for others. I can do those sorts of things that oftentimes are looked at as being driven, but I can do it out of a sense of contentment, not out of a sense of scarcity, not out of fear. It's about going to something, not going away from something. And the truth is, that's what allows you to maintain humility even when you have success. It's about recognizing those things that you have had that were opportunities that have uniquely allowed you to grow and to live the way that you do. Make a list of those things. Actually reflect on your life and try to find the things that have helped shape you into who you are and have given you opportunities and chances that you have to look at and go, yeah, even if it was something bad, it's something that shaped me into who I am, and it's an important part of my identity, and it's something I need to recognize and be thankful for, because it's truly part of what's given me the learning and the strength and the growth to get where I am today. And when you do that, when you make that kind of list, that gratitude list, and you study it and you look at it every day and you continue to add to it throughout your life, you will have a much better chance of maintaining contentment and humility even as your success grows. So make that list today. Thanks for listening. Thanks so much for listening to the Inspired Stewardship podcast. As a subscriber and listener, we challenge you to not just sit back and passively listen, but act on what you've heard and find a way to live your calling. If you like this episode on the stewardship of treasures, you can sign up for our treasures tips by going to inspiredstewardship.com/treasures or text in the U.S. 44222 treasures tips. and we'll send you 5 weeks of our best tips on stewarding your treasures. Until next time, invest your time, your talent, and your treasures. Develop your influence and impact the world.